Welcome to the Books Applied podcast presented by WSL Leadership Coaching. In this podcast, we're going to dive into some interesting books and talk about how you can apply them to your work, sport, or life to make it more fabulous. I'm your host, Iggy Perillo, and today's book is Mindset by Carol Dweck. Dweck is an educational psychologist, and she works out of Stanford and has done a lot of primary research around how the mindset we bring to things affects the outcomes. Pretty straightforward. Dweck's research brings forward two specific mindsets that have a huge impact on how we live our lives. One is a growth mindset, which is summed up as you can learn, grow, and change everything, and effort is an opportunity to grow and learn more, versus a fixed mindset, which is that how you are is static, and effort shows a deficiency of talent. You can have fixed or growth mindsets in different areas of your life simultaneously. For example, the classic, some people say, I'm just not good at math, I'm not good at numbers. That's a very fixed mindset about your math abilities. At the same time, some people are like, oh, I'm a natural musician, I just really pick up music well. That's another fixed mindset around music. Or I'm an artist, or I'm good at languages, or I'm bad at languages, things like that. Those are all sort of examples of fixed mindset. A growth mindset is just more an openness to understanding and learning and growing in any aspect. So basically, once you put that label on yourself, that starts to bring in that fixed mindset. Don't worry, we'll get into it a little bit more. And you can have fixed and growth mindsets about different aspects of your personality, about yourself at the same time. You could totally have a fixed perspective of your ability as a negotiator, for example. You just were born with these skills. It's just what you have. It's just how it is. You just happen to be amazing at it. While at the same time, you feel a very growth mindset toward your skills at rock climbing. You enjoy the challenge. You enjoy trying to figure it out, the puzzle of it all. Whether or not you have good skills or low skills doesn't matter, but your mindset is that this challenge is a way to grow or a way to learn. If you're not quite sure yet what a fixed or growth mindset is, here's a little quiz that Dweck had in her book to kind of help you sort it out. Figure out if you agree or disagree to these four statements. Number one, your intelligence is something very basic about you that you can't change very much. Agree or disagree. Number two, you can learn new things, but you can't really change how intelligent you are. Agree or disagree. Number three, no matter how much intelligence you have, you can always change it quite a bit. And number four, you can always substantially change how intelligent you are. So if you agree with number 1 and 2, those kind of show a fixed mindset. And if you agree with number 3 and 4, those show a more growth mindset orientation. So you can put it in instead of intelligence, artistic ability, speaking ability, business skills, sports skills, any of these things will kind of give you an idea whether you have a fixed or growth mindset toward that thing. The same thing applies to personal qualities. So here's another agree or disagree quiz. There's 4 questions to this one too. Number 1, you're a certain kind of person and there's not much that can be done to really change that. Number 2, no matter what kind of person you are, you can always change it substantially. Number 3, you can do things differently, but the important parts of who you are can't really be changed. And number 4, you can always change the basic things about the kind of person you are. So in this one, if you agreed with number 1 and 3, those are more fixed mindset things. Number 2 and 4 are more growth mindset orientation. The big summation, the big takeaway from Dweck's work is that you can change your mindset. Then she goes into a bunch of ways to sort of describe the impact of growth and fixed mindset in different parts of your life and different attitudes that those bring up when you're doing different things. For example, for a growth mindset, success means you're learning. And for a fixed mindset, success means proving you're smart. For a fixed mindset, they're only interested in feedback that reflects their ability, but a growth mindset pays attention to feedback to help them grow and learn. She goes on a great tirade into CEO disease, which is a non-learner, must-look flawless kind of thing. They thrive when things are within their grasp, and that is a very fixed mindset. And the growth mindset are folks that thrive when they're stretched, when making progress on a challenge. A fixed mindset test tells you now who you are now in the future. Success means you're special or different, so you need constant validation. It can lead to feeling superior and entitled, and then also have excuses for everything so it doesn't reflect on yourself. Instead of I failed, like an action, the result is I'm a failure, which is an identity. Success of others equals your own failure. Effort reduces you. If you are struggling, essentially in the fixed mindset, that means that your effort makes you look bad and feel bad, you tend to internalize failure. Instead of, I did something that failed, I am a failure. On the flip side, for a growth mindset, it's inconceivable to want something and do nothing about it. Like a quote is, I gave my all for things that I valued. Believing talents can be developed allows people to fulfill their potential, and that's a very growth mindset. If you can develop your talent, you can fulfill your potential, versus the fixed mindset where your talent is a fixed quantity that you have no ability to affect. For fixed mindset folks, they study by reading and rereading over and over again. Growth mindset folks motivate themselves to stay interested and look for themes and connections. Their process was in their control. So they control the process of how they learn, as well as the outcomes of that process. For the growth mindset, just because someone can do something with little or no effort doesn't mean that others can't do it with more effort or more training. The growth mindset just thinks it's the effort that will make the abilities possible and happen. Praising abilities leads to a fixed mindset, but praising effort leads to a growth mindset. So if you try to cultivate or change a mindset, look at the effort and support that and development of effort versus development of ability, because ability we attach to being a very fixed thing. Stereotypes are more crushing to people with a fixed mindset because labels affect the fixed mindset most. If they're positive, they fear losing that label, and if they're negative, they fear the label is true. So either way, a label and a stereotype affects a fixed mindset in a pretty detrimental way. For folks with a growth mindset, stereotypes are not very powerful because they can work to catch up or change or grow. One of the big bombs Dweck drops is that character comes from mindset. And all these hero qualities that we ascribe to people are the mindset that people bring to different activities and different things that they do. So, for a growth mindset, success means doing your best, learning, improving. Setbacks mean motivation. They're informative or a wake-up call. Growth mindset folks take charge of the processes that bring success and that maintain it. Processes are in control of the growth mindset folks. She also says that worrying about being a nobody doesn't develop the champion mindset, by the way. Relieving people of illusions or burdens of a fixed ability leads to full and open discussion of the information and enhanced decision-making. So growth mindset, by not being attached to ability, means that you're open to possibilities and open to the process and better decision-making along the way. So growth mindset folks make better decisions. In order to cultivate a growth mindset, so to bring that idea that you can grow, you can change, you can be open to experience, you can make better choices, you can control the process, you can be engaged in your own development and your own potential reaching, Dweck says, engage yourself in teaching. It's a learning process. She quotes Dorothy DeLay, a violin teacher at Juilliard, as saying, I think it's too easy for teachers to say, oh, this child wasn't born with it, so I won't waste my time. Too many teachers hide their own lack of ability behind that statement. To say someone wasn't born with it is a very fixed mindset. So moving toward cultivating that growth mindset, that drive, that curiosity, that willingness to try will get people further along versus cultivating an ability. So cultivate effort. So you might be wondering how to develop a growth mindset in yourself or in other folks. Dweck talks about some questions to ask, such as, what did you learn today? What mistake did you make that taught you something? What did you try hard at today? So again, hooking on to the idea that that effort is what matters. The real skill is to engage with effort. If you want to cultivate the growth mindset in yourself, she suggests looking at questions like, what are opportunities for learning and growth today for myself, for the people around me? Think of opportunities to make a plan. When, where, and how will I embark on my plan? When you encounter obstacles and setbacks, make a new plan and ask, where, when, and how will I act on my new plan? When succeeding, ask yourself, what do I have to do to maintain and continue the growth? You might encounter the fixed mindset in a couple of different settings in your world. I've definitely seen folks who, when approached with a new task or a new thing, just say they don't have the ability to adapt or don't have the ability to change, which is relying on that sense of the ability is innate and they can't cultivate that ability for themselves. So the fixed mindset there can be challenged by asking people how you can learn, how you can grow, what can you change in the situation, to maybe delve into some processes around how to make those changes a reality, how to make steps to cultivate that feeling of efficacy in the situation. Praising that effort again. Making sure effort is noticed and appreciated will cultivate more effort. Another way I see fixed mindset is folks who are set on a way of being and not open to improving that way of being. Someone who might say, well, I'm an accountant. That's just who I am. That's how I am. That's, they become very attached to some aspects of their identity. I'm a musician. That's just who I am. And those fundamentally become really self-limiting behaviors because they become so attached to that identity of who they are that when they encounter challenges or ways to express that identity even, they feel judged or stereotype themselves or worry that they won't fit the label. That label not fitting will fundamentally alter their sense of identity as a person. So it becomes this very deep struggle around enacting this identity, but only doing it in ideal conditions. Some hallmarks of the fixed mindset are blaming other folks, blaming anyone else, blaming the sun, the ref, the conditions, the market, whatever it is, for the perceived lack of abilities, the perceived lack of talent, the perceived lack of the proper identity to actually get the job done. So blame is a really common response when folks run into that fixed mindset wall in an aspect of their life. Again, ways to get around it, looking for effort, looking for plans, really viewing failures as opportunities to learn and grow more, which sounds pretty simple, but it's kind of hard to enact. If you think to yourself of the things you feel most fixed in your life, having a fixed mindset about that struggle is the thing that's actually keeping you from growing and learning and making progress toward that. Not that everything's easy to learn, but the idea that the effort is really the key to the process. And so engaging in a process that involves effort will help anyone explore and expand their potential. Dweck would say our potentials are pretty unlimited. We just need time and effort and a growth mindset. Some ways to cultivate a growth mindset include really focusing in on when you're struggling or approaching a challenge and seeing that as an opportunity. The opportunity of challenge, the opportunity of that struggle, the opportunity of that difficult moment presents itself as an opportunity to enhance the process and to learn and to grow. So to view that opportunity, that struggle, that challenge as a growth moment. Someone I was working with recently told me about working with one of their teammates who would say things like, this is my style, and here's what you need to do to work with me. This is how I operate. Here's what you need to do to accommodate that, which really showed a pretty fixed mindset around working procedures and how they want things to flow and operate in that team. Some of the ways to work with this type of person attached to a style or attached to a certain type might be to, if you have a lot of rapport, say, hey, your fixed mindset is really busting my chops, which probably doesn't go over well everywhere all the time. It's hard to have the best kind of rapport for that. But maybe to approach that person who's very fixed on their style or their type as someone who needs to work on their versatility and work on their ability to use the right tool for the right situation, the right thing at the right time. I was talking with another person recently who was telling me about a problem solver in their organization. And the problem solver was very focused on being logical and efficient. That's probably why they had the job as this problem solver. It's important for them to be very logical, very efficient, and get the problem solved very quickly. It turned out, though, that this logical, efficient problem solver was sending very logical and efficient emails to clients, and clients were not responding very well. It turned out that the clients found these very logical and efficient emails to be very terse and demanding, and it didn't go well, to say the least. The problem solver, being very focused on being logical and efficient, was at the same time alienating the clients, creating a pretty inefficient system which didn't meet anyone's needs. So this mindset fixed on logic and efficiency needed some work to grow around the realm of being effective communication, for one. What some people see as logic and efficient, other people see as terse and demanding. Some awareness around how people perceive communication is definitely helpful in that situation. Another aspect is growth around the idea of priorities, that your priority, logic and efficient, is maybe not someone else's priority. And so some time spent understanding other folks' priorities and why their priorities may conflict with yours or may just be different in a way that requires a different type of communication. So for this situation, thinking about different ways to communicate, how communication is perceived, seemed like a growth area. And also understanding what other folks might need at different times might not align with what you think they need at any given time. So understanding how to match communication style with the needs of the client would probably help that situation move along much more smoothly. So this has been a quick summary and some application ideas for Mindset, the book by Carol Dweck. The book itself is a very quick read. It's short. She tells some good stories. She makes you cheer for fifth graders and makes you think CEOs are ridiculous sometimes, and walks you through a lot of great ways to apply this book. I would definitely dive in and read the book yourself if you have time, because it's excellent, and it'll give you more strategies and more ideas, more thoughts around how to understand how the fixed mindset presents itself in different aspects of your life, as well as a growth mindset, and how to shift your brain toward that growth side and diminish maybe the fixed mindset habits we get into sometimes. So this was the Books Applied podcast presented by WSL Leadership Coaching. I'm your host again, Iggy Perillo. It's been great having you here. You can always learn more at worksportlife.com. Thanks for listening, and tune into another episode of the Books Applied podcast for more summaries and applications of awesome books. Have a great day.